What is up, fellas? Welcome to the next episode of How Creators Make Money. I'm Grace, and today we're going to dive into how to hack the LinkedIn algorithm, how we're going to make over 100K on this podcast this year, and more. How is your day, Justin?
My day's good. Well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere in Clemson right now, but can't complain. It's a great vibe. We're doing some workout out here for Declassified, and can't wait to hear about all these things that we've been digging into over the past week or so.
Let's do it. You're in the deep south, y'all. I'm in my room in San Francisco trying out new setup with the lights and everything. But let's dive into it. So this week, I discovered a LinkedIn algorithm hack. I was able to get 10 million views in just 3 posts on LinkedIn through exposing salaries.
That's wild. How'd you do that?
So ever since I quit my job at EA Electronic Arts last year, April of last year, I made this random video around June of last year, kind of exposing my salaries every year, starting from like an intern to like junior to mid level to I think I stopped at mid level designer. And I was just like recording in my room at this exact spot, and it went viral on LinkedIn. I think I got like millions of views. I also posted the same thing on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It also got like tens and thousands of views. And I knew something was up there. And then I made another post like 6 months later, kind of like detailing my salary journey again and giving some salary negotiation tips. That post popped off as well. And then the other day, like last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I was interviewing had some friends visiting, some design friends visiting, the Bay Area, and I decided to do like a street interview style. I was really inspired by this other YouTuber named Salary Transparent Street. How like on YouTube Shorts, like she like interviews people about their salary on the street. So I was like, I want to try that for a design. And so I started interviewing my design friends how much they make, and then I posted it on LinkedIn. But why I think that post did 6 million views actually in just a week is because they all worked at FANG companies. And I feel like LinkedIn is a place where people aspire to work in FANG. It's so sexy. People want to do that. So people were very intrigued by the salary. It also happened that I got some comments about this. This is like totally unintentional, but everyone was from the Bay Area or Seattle, and everyone happened to be Asian. So people were like commenting, and it was got hundreds of comments, and people were like kind of interested by that. But all these comments and engagement, only shares, let my post to get 6 million views. So I'm doing it again by interviewing my tech bro friends, exposing tech bro salaries in SF, and even more too. I even launched a salary report with Design Buddies, and I had a post that's been doing well today where I highlighted some of the salaries that was submitted anonymously, of course, through companies like Discord, Adobe, IBM across different countries. So people are really vibing with all these numbers on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think salaries is one of these topics or one of these things where it's so divisive, for lack of better words, right? Like what we know that what works on social is anything that gets someone's emotions riled up, right? So salary kind of hits on both sides. You can go the more positive route and be motivated and be like, "Oh my God, Grace is making so much. Like that's crazy. I want to be like her one day." Right? Or you can go the other route of like, "Yo, that's crazy. Why is Grace making so much? She should not be making that much." And I think both of those emotions do well on social, and you'll probably see that right in your comment section. Some people are like, "Oh my God, that's great." Other people are like, "Oh my God, why?" Um, I'm only getting paid this amount of money for the same job, right? And but that's what's good for social. Again, whether that's a good thing or bad thing, that's not necessarily for us to decide, but that's how the algorithm works, which I think is amazing that you've been able to crack that code, not just on LinkedIn recently, but also on different platforms previously, right? And that content I think will always work. Hence why Hannah from Salary Transparency Street is killing it and has been killing it for the past few years. She's a good friend of mine, or I wouldn't say good friend, but she's a friend. We talk every once in a while, so it's really cool to see her grow because we kind of got started on content, especially like man on the street content around the same time. So it's dope that you took inspiration from all of that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love her videos. Yeah, she's awesome. I'm inspired to like interview designers because I feel like in Design Buddies and when I've seen the discussion overall is the designers feel like they're underpaid and overworked. In my salary report, actually, I actually asked them like, what are like give me a review of how is it like working as a designer in your company, and what are the pain points you face at work. And a lot of designers, they just feel like they're just underpaid and overworked. But then I look at my own salary. So I probably made, no, I actually, my base salary actually was 3 years of experience at Electronic Arts. And they call me like a mid-level designer, like technical terms, but now mid is used as Gen Alpha terms is like not good. But I was a mid-level designer and I made 128K. Meanwhile, I see people at fame companies making like 150K, 180K as like a mid-level designer in the same area. So it was really interesting too. But I don't feel like that bad or anything because I know like when I started at EA, I started as an intern and I like a hot tip if you guys work in tech is try to like get another full-time offer somewhere else because if you convert from intern to full-time, your salary will just like take it from the intern rate, which is like substantially lower, and just like get higher from that. So it was really eye-opening for me as well, just to see. But yeah, I love being divisive. It's not. I don't think it's actually divisive. I've noticed, like as you mentioned, like half the comments were like, "Oh my god, I'm so inspired. I can get paid so well," versus half the comments were like, "Cries in European." I can pull up some comments right now, actually. Um, there's some of the top rated
It is kind of
comments.
wild
That.
how much
Mhm.
Europeans get paid less than we do in like the States. Also because like Europe is supposed to be more expensive in most countries in Europe, as well as like they're more tax heavy as well. So it's always interesting to hear the European perspective on like job salaries and things like that. Because again, I don't know what the cost of livings are in Europe, but for that to kind of always be a comment on all these types of videos is fascinating to know. Because I'm like, how do you guys live or survive over there if that's what your salaries are? And it's technically, or apparently, it's supposed to be more expensive to live over there with like all the taxes and everything. Um, and they're apparently making
Yeah.
less than the US, or at least like SF tech people.
Yeah. Yeah, the one the top like comment was like cries in European. Yeah, I know. Europe is actually like quite almost the same price in terms of like cost of living and like the food and amenities. And they're making a lot less. And same with Canada, like Vancouver and Toronto. The cost of living is like the same. But they're making like 70%, like 70% of a salary in general. But I'm really hoping, like I love salary transparency and I love helping everyone get paid more because I believe there's an abundance of opportunities. And by sharing these numbers, I get people to start negotiating higher for what they're worth. Because a lot of people ask design buddies this too, is their biggest pain point. One of the biggest pain point in salary negotiation was they don't know how much they're worth. They don't know how much other people pay. I used to check like levels FYI, things like that. But I wanted to create like a database just for designers so they can see and like hopefully use that to negotiate much higher. Because a lot of people like kind of treat, I feel like in history, like a lot of creative work, I feel like this happens with content creators too, is like, oh, we just think it's your passion, like art and creativity, so we're just gonna pay you less for like the passion tax, you know. And like a lot of creators also like open to doing for the exposure, but I hope together with this podcast and just exposing numbers overall, even at South by Southwest, we can help to paint a picture about how other people are getting paid and how people can negotiate to get paid more and ultimately help the economy and help everyone live a happy life. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what is your experience with salary negotiation, Justin, if you have?
So my experience when it comes to like salary negotiation, I don't have a ton, if I'm gonna be honest, because um I realistically only did internships in the corporate world. So all of my experience when it comes to negotiating comes from really brand deals and like B2B sales, which is again a little bit different, but is more aligned kind of with what this podcast is about, right? Like how creators make money. So like, but I'll even take a step back of what I did when I was in college. So the thing with most college internships is that they're quote unquote unpaid, right? But when you're looking at some of the companies out there and you look at how much revenue that they're potentially doing, why would they do an unpaid internship? And that was always my thought process when I applied to some of these unpaid internships. So I had applied to this one unpaid internship. I was working at that time. I had an internship that was paying me $18 an hour, another internship that was paying me $15 an hour, um, or sorry, one internship paying me $18 an hour, and then I was working also a job, making $15 an hour ish at that time. And so I got this interview for this non-paid internship, got the role. They're very excited. And then they told me that it was not paid and asked if that would be an issue. I said it was going to be an issue. And the way that I pitched it was because I told them that if I were to take this internship, it would take time away from my other internships where I am getting paid. And I asked them if there was a way to sort of compensate me for that missing income, essentially. And I know that they likely can't pay the same rate of like $18 an hour, $15 an hour as my other internships, but any sort of compensation would A, be goodwill from the company, but also B, make me feel appreciated and would make me want to take this internship more because I'm not like I was a college kid. I had bills to pay, things like that. And those are the jobs that I needed to keep to continue to pay those bills. So I had kind of tugged on a few heartstrings, but also provided like realistic monetary understanding to that negotiation side of things, but that's how I got a unpaid internship to being paid. I think I got paid like 10 or 11 bucks, and some people might be listening and like laughing at that, but that's me crying in Florida because Florida typically just does not have very great wages for things like this. I think the minimum wage there is still like $8.25. So shout out to Florida.
What? That's like a coffee in San Francisco. So no. I'm curious, like in your opinion, is it ever okay to take a paid unpaid internship?
So I think it's okay to take an unpaid internship, A, if you have like literally zero experience, and B, if that company that you're working for is not a large company that you know has the bills to pay your low internship salary. You know what I mean? Like if you're, for instance, even a company like Declassified, like myself, we're not by any means a huge company. Like our revenue is probably like 300K a year. We still pay our creators to create their content, right? We still pay our editors to edit our content. So if we can pay our bills, then pretty much any other company out there should be able to pay their bills. Uh, Again, the only time that I would take an unpaid internship is when I was literally like just starving to get any sort of experience on my resume. But other than that, I'd say most places that are probably offering unpaid internships are either scams or you're likely not going to get the experience that you think that you're going to be getting, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I'd actually took unpaid internships in college as well. I also feel like a lot of people kind of take advantage of college students and they kind of expect them to give free labor because they're young, ambitious, creative, full of energy. And I was one of them. And at least like for me, like if I couldn't find a paid internship at all and I was struggling and I have zero experience, I would probably and it's like a small company, if I can add to like my portfolio or can use it like on my resume, if I can use it to get a high paying job afterwards, I would probably do it. Because sometimes like the companies like nonprofits who are just like mostly volunteer based, like I would probably do it for like a social good. But generally probably not. Unless it's like volunteer and I'm just like on my own hours. I can just do it whenever I feel like it. Then I think that is unpaid. That could be unpaid if it's just like, oh, I just do it when I feel like it.
Yeah, like again, I understand like nonprofits and stuff like that, right? Like most of the time those companies or those nonprofits don't have a ton of money for internships and things like that. I would always look at it from a do you think that company actually could afford to pay you a decent wage? Most companies should be able to pay you. Again, I'm not saying that every industry is going to pay you 20, 25, $35, right? But to not be able to pay someone like $10 an hour, seems kind of wild when it comes to internships and experience and stuff like this. Like, for instance, I didn't like, it's funny. The company that I negotiated my salary for, I actually ended up leaving them like 2 or 3 weeks into the internship because it just I was literally just like copy and pasting emails and sending out emails to people to get Amazon reviews for this uh like it kind of like drop shipping, but it's called white labeling, like supplement company. And the crazy thing is, so I walk in, I want to say like a weekend to this place, and I'm sitting there and like just copy and pasting my emails because I was a marketing internship. Apparently that's marketing, but whatever. I think I could have learned a decent amount about like e-com and things like that if I had stayed a little bit longer. But I'm in there again. Remind you, they wanted me to be an unpaid internship, right? But I walk in there and I'm like, oh, like where's the CEO? Because the CEO's desk was like not right next to mine, but like down the hallway from mine, and he wasn't there. And this guy with a like fancy suit walks in and takes the CEO outside. I was like, "Oh, where's the CEO going?" He's like, "Oh, he's probably trying test driving his like he's trying to buy a new car. So he's like test driving his Bentley or his like R8 or like some like fancy car." And like you hear him revving the engine like outside the office and stuff like that. And so in my head, I'm like, "You tried to not pay me for this internship, but then your CEO is also test driving 250, $500,000 cars in the literal like parking lot of this internship." Again, that's when you start to see like the true nature of some of these companies. And that company did probably print money, but it wasn't in a way that I would have liked to run a company or like a place that I would have wanted to learn. So it's just little things like that, which typically you start to see like true colors of companies depending on how they hire and stuff like that.
Wow. That yeah, it sounds like you made a great decision to leave. I would leave as well. It's like sus. Very proud
Exactly.
that I've definitely had the money, but they're not spreading it fairly for the work people give. And I feel like it sounds like a shit job. It's like copy and pasting emails.
Yeah, it was like again, I at that time I was in the finance space, like I'd done finance internships and I wanted to like we were growing our social stuff for my first podcast. And so I wanted to learn more about marketing. So I was applying to these marketing internships. Um, and this one company said yes. I was like, oh, cool. Like, oh, that'd be really dope. I get to learn about like brand building and stuff like that, SEO, whatever it may be. And literally get there, and they're like, yeah. So basically, we want you to do is we need to rank higher for these things on Amazon, and the way to rank higher is to get people to review the product on Amazon. So what you need to do is cross reference all of our previous buyers on this basically spreadsheet, copy and paste their email into here, copy and paste the template email, get them to want to try this new product that we have and say that if they try it, we will reimburse you for the product once we see the review on the page. And I was like, again, I understand why that works from a business standpoint, but I'm like, is this all I'm going to learn? Like, are you not going to teach me anything else? And so like I love asking questions. So I started asking more questions to like other people in the company and like nobody wanted to teach me anything. Like I'm down to do grunt work as long as like I'm learning SEO on the side or I'm learning this other stuff here and there. Like that's fine. I get that. Someone needs to do it anyway. But nobody wanted to teach me. So I was like, ah, it's not really a great environment for me. And then I quit in the worst possible way. Like just, I sent like my 2 week email at like 5:29 and I left at 5:30 and I sent it and I dipped out the office and I came in the next day and they're like, you should not be doing that. And I was like, again, I was like 19, 20 years old and that's just how I did it. Do I regret doing that? Probably, but again, you just don't know until you know. But that's the story of one of my short-lived internships.
Damn, sounds like a horror story. I have a horror story about internship in college. I can barely remember it though, but I think you did the right thing. That's how you give 2 weeks notice. And but honestly, like it seems like you weren't learning. You were just like doing bitch work and to like people things they don't want to do and offload to an intern. But yeah, let's transition over to LinkedIn. So I'm curious. I've seen you post more and more on LinkedIn, and I know we initially connected on LinkedIn back in 2020. Throughout the years, what have you noticed things that changed on LinkedIn for you?
Yeah, so I think the medium in terms of what type of content works well. So I think when we were first starting getting off, it was like all about text posts, right? And then there's like a slight change in the algorithm where if you for some reason just added a photo to your text post, it did so much better than just a regular text post. And then, excuse me, there's like this wave of polls because they just launched polls, and polls were just the way to get a ton of impressions on your content. And then now I think it's finally, it seems like vertical video, right? Because vertical video pops up on that video feed that they have on mobile, at least, and just the TikTokification of everything. That seems to be really working. Um, but for me, I've just been going the old route because what I'm trying to do specifically for my LinkedIn audience is not necessarily care too much about going viral. Sorry if there's any noise in the background. They're literally doing construction in the room next door to me. And for some reason it's been quiet for like the past 2 hours. And then we started recording this podcast and it's just started going crazy on it. Um, but the way that I'm trying to build out my LinkedIn content right now is how can I build the most loyal audience so that when I post about this pod, right, people are coming to listen to it. When if I ever have a product to send them to, they go in and go to it. So I'm focused more on loyalty and like engagement and comments and community and things like that, rather than just trying to hit banger after banger after banger after banger in terms of the views.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to do the same thing as well because I feel like LinkedIn, there's no creator fund, so it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really matter how many views you get, anyways. At the end of the day, it's about who you connect with, and at least not yet. Hopefully, LinkedIn, if you're listening, would love that as well. I would post more on your platform if you have a creator fund. But yeah, I feel like LinkedIn is where the high profile people, like not high profile, I mean like people with a lot of this decision making and money spending power hang out on LinkedIn. So if you're a creator, want to hit more brand deals, more partnerships, more sponsorships, then LinkedIn is the place to be. But it's not the matter of like if your post gets a million views. It does help because your content gets seen by more people. But I also feel like I've been experimenting a lot with like highly specific content as well as like general content. Always the same thing. My general content, how to get a job, gets millions of views. But I am bored of that shit, man. Like, I don't. I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm like, I actually curse a lot in real life because I'm passionate. But I'm fucking tired of talking about design. But it helps the algorithm a lot, and I'm trying not to like get into the cycle. And like, yeah, I'm trying to do more like niche topics, like talking about the creator economy stuff. Even though like that still doesn't do as well, but I much enjoy writing those posts instead of like how to get a job, what to get your portfolio. But sometimes I still do those posts once a week because it like activates the algorithm too. But I agree, like video is popping off. I also feel like these views are really inflated. For example, my 6 million view video only has like 1,000 likes. And I feel like maybe it's just being seen by like the videos tab on LinkedIn. Maybe it will balance out later, but I think more and more people are making videos and people are like complaining like, oh no, the TikTokers are going to LinkedIn. But honestly, like that's what makes LinkedIn fun. I feel like there's a shift towards more casualness on LinkedIn rather than like I remember when I first downloaded LinkedIn, it was like 2017. I was in college and I was just like, this is such a scary place. Everyone's so corporate, wearing suits. Who am I? So I just like lurked on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I totally feel the same way, and I think the best way to see how inflated views are is the engagement, right? Because like I remember at the very beginning on TikTok at least, if we were getting, I think it was, and I could be wrong, if we were getting 10% like to view ratio, we knew that that video was gonna pop. Nowadays, I think you need like 20 to 25%, um, like to view ratio to have something good. But ultimately, at least right now on TikTok, the determining factor is like video watch time, or if you're in the TikTok shop world, then clicks on the TikTok shop link. And that's a whole another story for another day of how people are just printing money on TikTok shop. But I think back in the day when we had a 45-second video, if we got like 60% watch time on that video, we were almost guaranteed 5 million, 10 million plus view video. nowadays, if you get a 60-second vid or 60% retention on a 45-second video, you're lucky to get 1,000,000 views, right? Just A, because competition is harder now, but also B, the views aren't as inflated because there is more competition in it, and there's more videos that TikTok can push to different audiences. So I think we're kind of in that range right now for LinkedIn, where it's not that if you just post anything, it's gonna get viewed by everyone, but if you post anything good, it's gonna get pushed out completely to a bunch of different people because there's not much content on the platform.
Yeah, I agree. Now's a great time to make content on LinkedIn. It still is because there's not a lot of people making content, but also the lifespan is much longer. Like, for example, that 6 million view, which is my most viewed video of all time on LinkedIn, the first day probably had like 100K or like 50K. And then like I remember I hit like 1 million. I posted on a Thursday, I hit a million like on Saturday. And then, like, since then, it's been, like, I think 10 days now? It got 6 million, but it just, like, slowly, incrementally over time. It's not like a spike, but over time. So I think LinkedIn is a great place just because there's not a lot of people creating content. I also have some friends who are like killing it on LinkedIn right now. Um, and I feel like I'll go through some what I've seen my friends do, and as well as like different ways people on LinkedIn can make money. That doesn't have to do with making content, or it has to do with making content, but it doesn't have to do with like it's like different from like you don't have to get a million views to make money on LinkedIn. You don't have to have like a bunch of followers, like really quality over quantity, as Justin mentioned. So one of my friends, Mary Nova, she does data science content. I've known Mary for a while. Like she actually stayed in our Bali content creator house, and she taught me a lot about writing hooks. And so she's so good at making hooks. Like these hooks usually include numbers. One hook she mentioned that absolutely blew my mind was, she starts a post off with like, if I got hit by a bus, lost all my memory, but still want to learn data science, here's what I would do. So like different hooks like that. And I just like love her energy and like love the vibes of that. And she does like something similar. She also touches on like some of her personal stories. She's from Kyrgyzstan, worked her way up to Silicon Valley, and she's pretty amazing. And she has like a boot camp and like a community that she gets top of funnel from LinkedIn. So she's actually pretty cracked, like a really great data scientist. So she talks about like very technical things, but opens with these like if I got hit by a bus hooks, which is really I found it like so inspirational.
It's so crazy because like it's when you have to think about content, right? You kind of have to level down your sort of writing or what you're saying and things of that nature because the average American at least, right, reads at a sixth grade level, right? So I understand why a hook like that, while it doesn't necessarily make the most sense of how do you connect this to data science, but that's something that anyone can understand, right? They understand what a car crash is, at least if it never, ideally, they've never been in one, right, before, but they understand what a car crash is and they can identify with that immediately. And that's why that hook probably works. I might have to steal that for a hook and use that for something, to be honest. But I think stuff like that is super interesting to dive into. Your friends seem to be killing it. But what I want to talk about, you have written down here something about a tool, with sponsored content or something. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, happy to. I can like share my screen for a demo too. This is not sponsored, by the way. It's made by my friend AJ who runs Creator Match, and I was doing some research last night about like popular posts, trying to analyze them. And he has this free Chrome plugin called Creator Match, where you can see anytime on LinkedIn what are the top performing posts, organic posts, sponsored posts, and go on someone's profile and see the top performing posts. It's pretty lit. Like, let me share my screen and cool. So this is my LinkedIn. It's a plugin. Not sponsored. I'm just here to share this resource. We can see like all time. You can filter by like sponsored or organic type, and this is like all time like on LinkedIn right now is like different. As you can tell, like a lot of these organic posts start with like a number on the hooks, like 6 harsh career
had
truths, five
lucky
beginner cybersecurity courses.
balls.
I work 3 days a week. 99% of people. So like numbers do pretty well. That's why I think salary did pretty well on LinkedIn. It can also filter by like seeing the sponsored content. You can see how like no one cares about. So something that like is like having a spiky point of view. And then like on people's profiles, let me just go on my own. I can go on yours, Justin, as well if you want. But for my own profile, I can also see what post I did in the last 180, not all time, I guess 180 days. But on your profile, you can also see like a GitHub, see like how many people and like how much I posted and the commonly used words. Oh my god, I see I used like 169 times, so I exposed myself there. Design, LinkedIn, their hashtags, and then top performing posts. So this is like a definitely a treasure that I found. Like you can literally just go on your LinkedIn and find the top creators and go on their profiles and see what's been doing well for them and take inspiration for your own content. So a lot of my top posts, I guess this has to do with like the engagement because my 6 million view video, it like is this one 9.94, but I got 6 million. It's like has to do with the number of likes that it got. It's like very information dense content, exposing my transcript, glow up. I salary every year. How did I landed my job? Things like that. So it's pretty cool. Have you tried this, Justin? Have you seen this plugin? Oh, but yeah. So another like thing that I found is you can look at like the sponsor posts. So if anybody is looking to get more brand sponsorships on LinkedIn, they can also see like what companies are sponsoring and maybe like reach out to them too and how these sponsor posts are working. So right in this way to track these sponsors, if you really want to land more brand deals on LinkedIn, this is a great way to like find examples of a post like that too.
I've never used this before. This seems dope. I need to check in and see what it's all about. But yeah, check out my profile. I want to actually see how mine looks because I'm actually kind of scared to be honest.
Yeah, I was no worries. You start posting like regularly, like recently. Creators, TikTok, don't post, will. Use hashtags creator economy. Um, and I can also see like what's a top post. Oh, our launch video. Like every creator wants to be Mr. Beast, so I want to be like racing. I love this post. It got me a lot of people to add me actually. And yeah, so you can see what posts that you've done that perform the best in the order from like 180 days and beyond.
Okay, that's pretty dope. I'll have to check out this later today. Trying to see how are people. I mean, how early is this? Did AJ just launch this like last week or something?
I think he messaged me to like on like product hunt, so I feel like it was like a month ago. But it's pretty dope. I've been using it a lot just to like improve my content game on LinkedIn. Because I feel like as a content creator, it's not always about how good you are at your craft. Being able to hook the audience or write in a way that's very digestible on the platform will get your content seen and in return land you more opportunities. So I recommend just using this as inspiration, but don't copy and paste, but just see like what is working and what you can like take inspiration to make it your own on your own posts.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think what's interesting about that specific post that you were talking about a little earlier of mine when we kind of launched the podcast on my own personal LinkedIn was that hook, right? Combining Mr. Beast and you. I think that's what probably honestly one of my best performing posts in a while. A because I haven't been posting a ton until recently. But that one, the last time I looked at it was like 50K plus or whatever, which I think is really good for just getting back onto the platform. Um, so people feel free to take that hook, add in your own creator who's big in your space, and then whoever you want to kind of compare that person to. I think that type of hook does really well because people were probably like, "Who's Grace?" And that's probably why you got a lot of connection requests and things like that because they started digging into your story, like, "Oh, this girl's actually pretty interesting."
Yeah, yeah. No, I felt so raised up by this, man. It was great.
So I think you might crash out after I tell you how much money snail racing content is making right now. It is actually ridiculous.
Snail racing. That's cute. That's so cute, snails.
You say it's cute, but it is like it is wild to see how much money these pages are printing right now. So I found this one page where we'll show it up right here, but I think combined they have like 300 million views on shorts and then like another 100 million views on TikTok. And I would assume all those views are monetized as well. That's got to be bringing in tens of thousands, if not close to 50K plus monthly. And that's not even including sponsorships or anything like that. But the craziest thing is like I was diving into this more and more, and there's lore into why this works. So if you think about why this content works, it's like A, people watch it because they want to see which snail gets to the end, right? So there's that constant line, storyline that people are waiting and trying to figure out what snail will win. So they want to watch it to the end. And all YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever care about is will someone watch this video to the end? So that's great on that end. The second part is again, I didn't realize this, but the visual hook of trying to get a snail to start moving is wild. So if you've watched any of the videos, it's like they have a snail, they have the 3 or 4 snails, whatever it is, lined up, and then they, like, make a line out of whatever snail food is. So it kind of looks like these snails are, like, snorting cocaine, like a lot of cocaine. So, like, just visually, like, what are these snails doing, right? And then they're, like, moving, and then it's like I totally get why it works from a visual standpoint, um, but it goes deeper because this is a whole industry. Like, there's a semi-annual race, snail race, that happens every year in Norfolk, England, um, which is pretty crazy because if you think about why this content works, and we're always trying to think about what content, like what's the next content play? What's the next content play, right? What are these things that already have a small following that if you just brought it into with a unique perspective into the world of content creation could take off? Snail racing is one of those things. Like, it's been going on for a while. It has an audience. It has a competition already behind it. It just needed someone to take it and, like, mold that specific competition for social. And, again, this channel is a Russian channel, so I'm sure there are other ones all around too that I haven't been able to find, but they're just pulling in and raking in views from stuff like this. It's absolutely insane.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so cute. But I have yet to watch his videos, but I feel like having the hook have like the cocaine is like it's like doing something like a bit of like a bit like obtuse. Um, and but it's like not. It's like just snail food, and they're just like racing snails. And snails, you would assume they're like slow, but they're racing, and it's cool. It's like these small niche things that just blow up, and I just wonder how many opportunities are out there for people to like tap into their niche little hobbies, which I love because like kind of like growing up, I was told that I should conform, but I love how people are like popping off for doing these little small niche things. How do you think like, what do you think is so appealing about these snails? Is it just because it's so random and, like, unexpected?
So I think it's random and unexpected, right? Because it's like you've never raced a snail in your life, I would assume, right, Chris? Um, I've never done it. But I think it's also a nuance, right? Something new, something different. But there's also that Disney movie that came out a few years ago or like 5 years ago plus called Turbo. And it's all about like this fast snail or whatever. So there it unlocks the thing, especially like the back of some people these mind or some of these people's minds. So there's that. But again, I think the main thing though is you want to watch any sort of competition that's put out on social. You want to watch till the end because you want to see who wins. And so I think that's the main driver of with that hook, people want to stay to the end to see like, will this snail win? Like there's another guy that I've watched in the past where he has this fish that is called Moby, and like this fish just eats other fish no matter what. And so his content is all around buying new fish to put into this tank, and then the thing is always like, will Moby eat it? And so like everyone wants to watch to the end of the video because it's like, will Moby eat it? So then the social media algorithms are like, oh, this is a good video because people are watching it all the way to the end. We'll put it out to more. We'll put it out to more. We'll put it out to more people. So again, it's always interesting to see sort of the or try to dissect why some of these pieces of content work. But it is insane some of the ways that these kids or guys or girls or people are making money. Like I have examples of guys who are racing pool balls on a treadmill, guys that race toy cars on a treadmill. Um, Someone commentates like in a sporting way over like he builds like a toy track and then it's like a race of like he's got Lightning McQueen's like Matchbox car on there or like a Porsche car, all these different things, and then he'll commentate to see how far each toy car goes as like a competition route. And the craziest one that I've seen is there's a guy that like races marbles. Um, and then like when the marble falls off, you can pay or donate $10 to revive that marble into the race. And he just rakes in money. And again, it's just wild that people donate to these types of things, but people do it, and it's a whole business, and it's literally how creators are making money, right?
That's so awesome. I wanna do one that's like bunnies racing, but that's cute. It's like how their entire like game shows, like Mr. Beast games and like Squid Games. Like you want to stay to and like different game shows like Jeopardy. Like people want to watch toward the end because they're following the journey, following what kind of like hardships people face, and they like have rooting for someone and want to follow along. How do you think they're making money? Is it through like ads, like sponsorships, or
I think ads, some of it with like the live streaming stuff, is donations. Like again, that guy that don't like people donate to revive a marble. That's all storytelling, right? Like if you love this marble, you want that marble to keep going in that competition. Some people will pay $10 to revive that marble. Like I have a couple friends that run a podcast where their one of their monetization schemes is to have a bar at the bottom of their live stream where it's like if you want to like if we get to $300 donated, we'll stay on for another 30 minutes, right? So people want to hear more stories, uh, more people donate to that $300 mark or whatever, they stay on for another 30 minutes. So I think it's all about how can you gamify some of these things when it comes to donations and things of that nature. But I do think this live streaming culture, and I was actually having a conversation with a friend earlier today about it, is wild for those who know and understand how to tap into it. Because there's so many different ways to monetize that sort of live action shopping experience.
That's so cool. It's like those shopping shows in China where it's a thing where people just like live stream and try out different products, and they have like giveaways and bars and gift boxes and stuff, and people just donate to these streamers and buy these products. It's so like gamified. It's like gamified entertainment and live stream and shopping. Plus, I feel like every platform trying to do shopping. There's like TikTok shopping, Instagram shopping, but YouTube shopping, I think. People really gamifying that and like seeing how far they can go with it too, and people just play along with it. Like I would never watch a shopping show, but I don't. I guess general population might find that appealing, but it's very interesting.
I mean, if you think about it, right? Like in the US, we had QVC back in the day. Um, I think that's just starting out to move to TikTok, probably first, TikTok Shop. I'm not sure if it's infiltrated your feed, but the only real TikTok lives that pop up on my scroll are TikTok Shop lives, where it's like the dude wipes guy or girl, where they just have all the dude wipes like wrapped around them in the Studio S thing, and they're just selling dude wipes the whole time. Like some of these people are bringing in tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just selling these things through TikTok Shop. It's absolutely insane. Like I've seen another person with like the nerds clusters just wrapped around them and they're just selling these things all day long, answering questions about do you like nerd clusters, why you should buy it, stuff like that. So I think it's an industry that they're trying to get to tap into in the US culture. I know of a lady in like the Asian, older mom Asian community that sells like luxury bags from her home, and it's all through Facebook Live. And like these Asian aunties will just watch her live stream, drop 500 thousands of dollars on these bags. she's just there talking about, "Oh, look at this Louis Vuitton bag. It's got this, it's got that, blah, blah, blah. It's this leather, yada, yada, yada. Oh, you want it? Here you go. Sold, 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 blah, blah, blah." And then it gets sent to their house. And so, like, I think it's a whole industry. I think it probably originated within the sort of Asian culture, of things, but it's starting to, I think, spread out. You see it especially in the, what's it called? The, like, trading card world, whether it's sports, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, things like that, where people and I think it's a genius model, people will pay you the price of the pack for you to open the pack on the live stream and show them what they got, which is just wild that that's a thing because why not just buy the card set yourself and open it? But people want to see other people open it. It's wild out there.
Yeah, it is wild. My TikTok feed is all like people trying to sell like tripods, lighting, like stuff. That's my feed. It's different. It's like I have a lot of like what they call corporate girlies on my feed because I used to make a lot of day my life as a UX designer videos, and then the like different tripods and just like mics and stuff. So my feed is like wildly different. Maybe it's just things I search up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I let me do a quick swipe on TikTok. Let's see what we
Yeah.
got.
Let me see.
Let's see. What's the first like TikTok shop video that pops up? Okay, I don't have service, of course. Um, boom, boom, boom. Wow, actually, not that many TikTok shop videos right now. That's interesting.
Hmm.
I have not hit a TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Okay, Liquid IV. I get a ton of Liquid IV TikTok shop stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, Liquid IV, scrolling, 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 scrolling. Yeah, Liquid IVs. Wow, that's the first one. Maybe because I'm not watching anything. It doesn't want to pop anything up on mine. But what are you seeing on yours?
Mine was Mine was a tiny mic. It's a tiny mic for content creators. And
Oh,
then I watch and then Chinese Trump. In Elon Ma. I went this whole rabbit hole of like Chinese people pretending to be like Musk and Trump, and it's really funny. It keeps hopping out on my feet. A tripod.
I've seen that before. I've for sure seen that before. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so I think that's a good place to end the pod this week. I know I can talk about
Yeah.
sponsorship
Do you want
stuff,
to talk
but I
about
think we'll save
the?
that for
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
I'll just save that for next week. So hopefully we have yeah, hopefully we have some hits on what we've been doing for sponsorship outreach. But if you want to see how we're planning to make 100 grand from this pod in this year, stay tuned and make sure to subscribe to the show, YouTube, Spotify, whatever it may be. If you want to hear that story. So we'll talk about that next week. See you guys.
Like
Peace.
and subscribe. Help you slay your day and W's in the chat. Hope you make lots of money. No cap, big facts, bussin', skibbity, mewing, phantom text, positive aura, Riz plus 69. W.
Oh Jesus.